Awesome. Okay. So again, thank you for having me. Happy Wednesday. And today I'm going to talk to you about the Recon extension. This is our official launch of a Visual Studio Code extension that allows you to massively speed up your workflow with invariant testing. The extension is completely free to use and it's completely open source and it's going to be on our Recon-Fuzz GitHub. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to do a very brief presentation and then we're going to get started with an actual demo of the extension. In terms of me, I'm a fairly well-known white hat. At this point, I have about $500,000 in public earnings, and I've worked with Badger for numerous years. And more recently, me and Antonio Vigiano co-founded Recon, which is an audit shop focused on invariant testing. More recently, we work with teams such as Centrifuge, Liquidity famously, and Badger and Corn. And today, again, I'm showing you the Recon extension. Make sure you get the right one. Don't get scammed. It's going to be called Recon from Recon-Fuzz. And this extension has quite a lot of functionality. The first one is going to be the scaffolding. You're going to press a button and it's going to immediately create your target functions. You're going to have the ability to run the fuzzer within the extension, and that will make it so that the extension is going to be able to detect and compress your coverage reports. It's going to be able to show you more information about these coverage reports, especially for a Kidra. And then it's going to automatically scrape every broken property, turn it into a markdown report that you can share with your customer, and also turn it into a Foundry repo. These are things that we do at Recon every day. And so now you're going to have the ability to tap into that. If you want to use it, you can take a screenshot here, or you can also navigate to github.com/recon-fuzz/recon-extension. That way the code is open source. You can check how it works before you install it. And then obviously we offer a convenient VS Code installation as well as manual installation from GitHub. Um, I'm gonna go into the demo in a moment. Before I do that, I just want to shout out our team at Recon. The extension was mostly built by Not, and it relies on core infrastructure built by Simon. And I also want to give a shout out to Nicanor, who wrote the majority of the documentation, which you can find at book.getrecon.xyz under Recon extension. This is the first version of the extension, so there's probably going to be a few bugs, but I genuinely believe it's going to save you a ton of time, and I expect you're going to be, your mind is going to be blown. So for the sake of demo today, I'm using this repo called Rewards Manager. You can get it at gallo.ballo/rewards manager-invariants. And this is a simple one contract with about 1,000 lines of code, and it's 1,400 lines, and it was actually audited, but I'm pretty sure it has real bugs. So if you find any bugs, let me know. And today we're gonna try and find some. For the sake of time, I already git cloned the repo, and for the sake of demonstration, I'm literally gonna delete the test folder so that you can see that I'm starting from scratch. I have the Recon extension here, and basically the first hurdle obviously is compilation. The extension works with any Foundry project, and it should possibly help you with more than that. But fundamentally, we're going to build, and this is going to install all of our dependency. And what the extension is also going to do is it's going to check if you have all of the prerequisites, which will be the Chimera framework, as well as a few other utils um, off of our repo, and it's going to basically add those as well. So at this point, now that I'm compiled the contracts, I can select them, and what you'll see is two things. One, this recon.json is being created, and it basically tracks the name of the function, whether you want to use an actor or the admin, and which mode for testing you want to use, which are all options that are available to you if you click on this dropdown right here. And so you can basically select any function, set it to admin, set it to actor, etc. But for now, we'll just use the default option. We'll scaffold, and now you'll see that the extension is detecting that we're missing a dependency, and it's going to install it for us. And then it's going to scaffold the test folder, which is done through our typical Chimera framework. So if you've ever used the Create Chimera app, this should be fairly familiar to you. And fundamentally, we have another advantage of the extension is that if you use the separated mode here, it's going to generate a separate file for each target, which means that we have these target functions contract that actually doesn't have any targets. And then we have the targets folder, which contains the admin targets, which is empty because I didn't enable any admin target. The Doomsday targets, which is also empty. The manager targets, which is tied to our asset manager and actor manager, which is an abstraction that we offer by default to allow you to have tokens and multiple colors without having to use a lower level code. And then we have the rewards manager targets, which are the what you would call the target functions. And so having having access to the extension, we now have code lenses on top of each function that allows us to toggle between different modes. So if you ever want to just see if this is gonna, for example, if you want to turn it into a doomsday test saying that this function should never revert, you can literally just click the button and you're gonna basically change the modality. Whereas if you want to change the modifier for whether you want the function to be called by any actor or only the admin, you can literally just click this button to toggle it. And then the extension is going to keep track of all of these changes. And the key assumption with the extension is that you're going to let the extension manage the auto-generated target functions. And instead, if you need clamping, you can add it up here, and the extension will not override any of your changes. And so to go to the next phase of the demo, at this point, I'm just going to set a few of these to fail mode. And now, as usual, when we're working with the Chimera framework, first we want to see if the project compiles. So I'm just going to forge build. And from there, I can go back to the extension and I have access to the cockpit. And I basically can choose which fuzzer to run, whether it's Medusa or Echidna. And from there, I can literally run it. And what's going to happen is that the extension will monitor your logs and it's going to give you a bunch of functionalities that you would have otherwise needed either a CLI tool or needed to go to our website to use. And so specifically, what the extension is going to do is it's going to capture all of the broken properties. And from there, it's going to first generate a report, and then it's going to generate a set of Foundry repros, which will be all put in the credit to Foundry file, which is how we debug broken properties from Medusa or Echidna back to Foundry. So I'm going to cancel this run with the expectation that the fuzzer has, found some stuff. And basically, we're going to get a prompt asking us if we want to see the report. This is something that many fuzzing firms typically need to generate a report. It's really convenient, so you can send it to your customers. And then this one is the broken properties prompt, which basically makes it so that the extension will automatically generate all of the repros. And you can see that we have quite a few. And fundamentally, another advantage of the extension is that we have this button to run a test. So I can literally just click here and try to run it. I think there are some bugs with scraping some advanced stuff, so bear with us. If you're using structs or something, you probably run into issues. Whereas if you're using more normal types, you should be able to instantly debug them. And by default, you can actually choose the verbosity that the extension uses. I have -VV, but you could also have -VVV. And anytime you click one of these run test button, you basically will open up a new terminal and it's going to run with the default command. So again, you can focus on breaking properties, then going back to Foundry and verifying whether those properties are broken because you found a bug or whether they're broken because you made a mistake. And this is what the report looks like. It's a markdown report. It will list all of the broken properties. And then for each broken properties, it will also list out the Foundry repro, which means that you can basically, you have a working output from which you can uh, share a report with your customer or with other white hats. Another functionality that we have down here is the coverage report. Basically, we have multiple features here, but probably the coolest one is that when you click this button, the extension will find the coverage report and it will compress it. And so I guess something went wrong. But normally, the compressed report will be limited to the um, file in the SRC folder. And that makes it so that instead of having to look, let's see, maybe if it was the render. No, I guess the compressor broke. This is what it is. But generally speaking, instead of having to look at all these files, you will basically only have the rewards manager. I'm gonna demo this with Echidna. And so when you use Echidna, there's also another advantage. Simon actually wrote a tool to check the coverage statistics for each contract that was run through Echidna. And so whenever you run Echidna, you'll also have that additional option. And then lastly, any coverage report is compatible with coverage gutters. I think I have it disabled because disables a shortcut, but you can basically get the coverage gutters extension. And then when you have that enabled and you click on any coverage report, what's going to happen is the coverage report gutters will be overlaid onto the contract. And so you can see here they have red lines and green lines. Any green line indicates that the function was called, whereas any red line indicates that that line wasn't hit. And so now you can look at the coverage report, but you can also look at your source code to figure out how deep the fuzzer went. And then when you run Echidna, you will also have an additional benefit, which is that you're going to have access to additional statistics. So I'm going to demo that in a moment. I guess it's not stopping, but when it will stop it, we will actually get a report. Sorry for that. So the last feature we have that I didn't show is the auto mocking. We actually have two contextual options when you right click a contract. The first one is to generate target functions, which you already saw, but this can be convenient if you need to quickly get a second version of the target functions. So this will not save them anywhere. You can just create this ephemerally. Whereas another tool is what we call auto mocking, which is used by just clicking on this button, generate solidity mock. And what the tool will do is it's going to mock every non-view function to do nothing. And then it's going to give you a set of setters that you can call to set return values for each view function. And that makes it so because most contracts that you need to mock have a bunch of logic that you don't care about, and then they have view functions that you care about. And so this actually exposes all of these. And so the workflow that you get from this is that once you recompile, so let's go in the terminal. Let's see. Hmm. So Noct is taking notes about all the edge cases we're finding, but I think we'll just clean these up in a moment. Windows. And so now that we compiled, we should actually be able to find the mock contracts. I'm not sure why it's not showing it because it should be built. And you can click this button if you want to see all of the extra dependencies. We typically hide them by default. Let's see if we can find the rewards manager mock. No, it seems like it's not finding it. Let me see if I reopen it. Maybe we're gonna find it this way. There you go. And so now I can just scaffold this one, it's going to ask me if I want to override the setup. And I guess in this case I do. So I will. And now what's happened is that I not only have a mock contract that I can use, but now it's all automatically wired up. It's going to be deployed for me. I'm going to have the rewards manager mock target for them, which is now allowing me to use this mock and explore that state. And so instead of having to manually create mocks, wire them up, and then connect them, all of this is done in about a minute, and I can then use this to fuzz the stuff that matters. And that's because obviously fuzzing is still it takes a long time, and so anytime you use a mock, it will typically save you time. So yeah, the extension is live now. We made it completely open source at Recon Fuzz/Recon extension. As you saw, there are a few quirks. We're going to iron those out over the next couple of weeks. And we hope this was, the last hurdle to get you to try invariant testing, which has which has been, an extremely rewarding experience for me. But at the same time, it seems to be fairly difficult for people to adapt to. So if you have any quick question, I'm happy to take it. Otherwise, you can go to Recon Fuzz/Recon extension, and then you feel free to either file a few issues or help us with fixing those bugs so that we can all start writing some invariant testing.